Hello everybody, my name is David Taylor. I'm a member of the Joseph Taylor Family Association, and I'd like to spend just a few minutes with you today showing you a nice tool, a free online tool from FamilySearch that can help you with your genealogy research. It's called the FamilySearch Place Authority. Before we get into that, let me just kind of introduce myself. So as I mentioned, I'm a member of the Joseph Taylor Family Association. This is my line. I come through Joseph's son William, then in through John and Alma, and through his son Hiram Henry, who moved to Arizona, which is where I grew up. So I'm an Arizona Taylor, currently live in Utah. All right, let's talk a little bit about geography and genealogy before I get into the website itself. As you know, place names change over time. There's a popular song about Istanbul was once Constantinople, and New York City was once New Amsterdam. And so we know this. But how does it affect our genealogy research? Well, first off, having an understanding of geography can offer clues to whether a potential source applies to your family member. I know I've done this when I'm researching sources on FamilySearch or Ancestry or other websites, and it finds something that I think might be a match, and then I go and I determine that, oh, that location for that event is hundreds of miles away from where I expect the family to be. Now, of course, doesn't mean I didn't move there, but it certainly offers a clue as to whether or not that record really applies to your family member or not. So geography is important in that aspect. I love places because it helps you to visualize where your ancestors lived. As you understand the landscape, that can be very powerful in understanding their lives and getting to know them better. If you use the FamilySearch website to do your research, having standardized place names in the events improves the matching and hinting algorithms. So using those place names correctly with the full location and jurisdictions can really help provide more record hints as you move along doing your research. People have different opinions on this. My personal preference is to use the name of the location at the time of the event and then add a note about the name change, if any. So how do you know what a place used to be? Maybe you have a letter or you have some reference to a place and you go to Google Maps and you do a search and you don't find it and you're just frustrated. Well, that could be because it has changed its name. And so there is a tool from FamilySearch, and here is the website. I'll put it below in the comment section so you can get to it as well. It's familysearch.org/research/places. So I'm going to jump over to that website right now. And this is it. As you come to this website, it shows you the map of the world and then just a search box right here. So I'm going to give you two examples, and we'll just spend 5 or so minutes looking at this, and then we'll let you try it out. So, and again, the examples I'm going to use today are not necessarily specific to tailors, because of course you can use this with any line that you're researching. Let's try something in Europe, like Zagreb. As I do the search, it's going to give me a bunch of hits or possible matches on the left-hand side here. And then over on the right-hand side, it's going to show me map pins or locations where those matches exist. So I was thinking Zagreb, Croatia, which is where it is today. So I can click on this location. As you hover over it, you'll notice that over on the right-hand side, it shows you where that is. So I can kind of come down through each of these and kind of see some of those locations. So I'm just going to click on this top one. And this is an excellent example of a place. The place hasn't moved, but it's certainly the jurisdictions it's been in. The country name, a county or province can change, and this tool can help you with that. I'm going to go ahead and use this right now, this arrow right here. I'm going to click on that arrow to close that drawer off to the left to have more space for my map. Okay. So at the top you've got the map. At the bottom you have some other information, and we're going to go through each of these things. If you want to see more of the map and less of this other content, you can do that. Again, there's these little arrows right here. We can kind of collapse that and see just the map. Then up here on the top right, I have some navigation tools. I want to zoom out or zoom in more. Maybe I want to get myself oriented a little bit better in the overall European landscape, remind myself where we are. Okay, now I'm going to click this up again. One of the first things I want to point out is there's kind of a timeline right here across the top. Right now and they're in a tab format. Right now I'm in 1992 to today, and what this shows is that since 1992, the city of Zagreb, or in this case we're actually looking at a county of Zagreb, is a county in the country of Croatia. If we go back the period between 1918, following World War I, and 1992, Zagreb was part of Yugoslavia, and Croatia was still a jurisdiction, but the country itself was called Yugoslavia. If we go prior to that, all the way back to 1526, we see that Zagreb was part of Austria, and there's lots of things we can talk about there. I want to move on to a different example. I'm going to switch back to 1992 to today. Different locales have different information in this Family Search Places tool. But we'll just give you an example here. You can use the scroll bar over on the right hand side or your scroll wheel on your mouse, and I'm going to scroll down to see more information here. Often we'll see some basic information. This often will come from Wikipedia, so just some basic information about the city, maybe some historical information might be there. In this case there isn't. They all have some additional research links. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about those today, but if you want to learn more about the place, these can be fun links to go off and learn more about that location. One of my favorite parts, besides the time periods, about the family history, this Family Search Places tool, is the ability to have alternate names. Remember when I mentioned that if you search for in Google today for a city that doesn't exist, you won't find it. In this tool, it has the ability to have lots of different alternate names. I'm going to click Show More here, and we'll see even more. So in this case, if I were to search for any of these names on the left-hand side, with the various diacritic characters or accent marks, various languages, any of those search terms would result in me finding this record about Zagreb, Croatia. So again, I can see that I've got different languages here. And so that can be very useful when you're doing a search trying to find a location. And then in order for a place to be here in this Family Search Place tool, there has to be citations and sources about where they got this information. So I find that to be very valuable. I'm going to come back now. I'm going to click on this arrow over here again to get my search tab open. And I'm going to click this X to clear my search. And I'm going to do another one. As I mentioned, Hiram Henry Taylor moved down to Arizona and settled in Lehi. So Lehi today has been annexed and incorporated into the city of Mesa. But I'm going to do a search for Lehi, and I see, okay, here's Lehi, Maricopa County, and I pull that up. And again, just like we were seeing with Zagreb, we can see some of the history. I can come back and look at 1877 when it was first settled, and I can see that it was called Lehi, and it was part of the Arizona territory at that time, up until 1912 when Arizona became a state. If I scroll down, it says that Lehi is a distinct community within Mesa. Yep, we understand that, although it existed prior to the founding of Mesa. It was annexed in 1970, so very useful historical information here. Before it was known as Lehi, they were kind of debating about what name they might call it. For a while, it was called Fort Utah, and it also was called Jonesville for a while after Daniel W. Jones, who was one of the founders. Under Lehi, it doesn't show those alternate names, but if I go to Mesa, it does show those alternate names. So I'm going to come back up here to, and often that's just a way the tool works based on the time period. It may not have all of the alternate names, and usually those exist in the current time period. It's kind of an oddity. What this can tell me though is now that it's part of Mesa, maybe I actually want to do a search for Mesa, and then under Mesa, I would find some of those alternate names that I was talking about. We've got Jonesville, Fort Utah, Hayden, Zenas, even, and some other things like that. And what's also great is you can, they're continually updating this database and this tool. And so I could suggest that under Lehigh, they have alternate names of Jonesville and Fort Utah, and I will probably do exactly that. So that's really all I wanted to show you today, is to use this tool. There's a couple of other map-based online resources that maybe I'll come back and have another video to help you with genealogy and geography. And I hope this proves helpful to you. And thank you very much for watching.